Welcome to the Cosmic Download for March 2016. I'm Anna Francesca Celestino.
And I'm Simone Butler.
Well, we're going to just jump right in here, which is very much Aries energy, which is coming in. We have so much to talk about today. So I'm going to start. We've been on an upswing, a little bit of a rising in energy, and we're going to continue on that energy to some extent, at least a feeling of things becoming more optimistic as we go on through the month of March. That is not to say that there aren't going to be plenty of challenges going on this month. But by the end of the month, we're going to walk out of this month with a feeling of everything's going to be okay. So I'm sure that sounds good to you. I know it sounds good to me. It's almost as if by the end of the month, we're going to be able to exhale, and there's going to be a sense of relief. That was the first energy that came to me about this month was relief. And there's going to be, like I said, a lot going on. Simone and I are going to talk about the eclipse that's coming in. But when we get to the end of all this, the message I got was that to the victors go the spoils. We're going to have a sense that we've won, that we've done what we set out to do, that we're ending up in the right place. And to be specific about that, I really do think that this victory has to do with a cumulative or collective vote by the population of planet Earth that says, here's how we're going to do this. We're done being out for ourselves. We're done not caring about anybody else. We are moving to a new level together of caring. And if you haven't seen Michael Moore's movie yet, Where to Invade Next, I highly recommend it because, boy, my takeaway from that movie was this is about caring about each other. And I really do feel that's really the key here, just making this shift collectively. Simone, I'll let you jump in and see what you've got.
Well, I definitely think caring for each other starts with caring for ourselves. And I'm seeing that as a huge message, at least in the first half of March, because we have so much going on in the sign of Pisces right now. Pisces is an emotional, sensitive sign. We've got Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Neptune, Chiron. It's like we're swimming in this mystical sea, which is a nice way of putting it, although I tell you from the calls I'm getting from clients, not everyone is feeling uplifted by this watery, perhaps confusing, foggy kind of energy. And people who are not in the habit of really taking care of themselves in some especially emotional ways are freaking out right now. This is a bit of a wake-up call, and that's really the theme that I'm seeing around this upcoming total solar eclipse on March 8th. It's late on the 8th, early on the 9th in some places. And it's, a very intense eclipse. And wherever we've had our head in the clouds trying to avoid something or ignoring things, not paying attention to our intuition, this is a wake-up call. This eclipse is conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer, and it squares Saturn. And I have to tell you this real quick story about a square to Saturn. Back in the 80s, I used to spend a lot of time at the Ojai Foundation, and we would take pilgrimages to visit Beatrice Wood, the potter, who was in her 90s at the time, a Pisces. And we'd sit at her feet, we'd bring her chocolate, and she would hold forth on all the great subjects of life. And one day she asked us, what is the most important word in the English language? And, of course, everybody said, love and peace and whatever. She's like, no. The most important word is no. And so the theme of this it is a new moon, total solar eclipse, is about saying no to whatever is going on that is not in alignment with your intuitive sense of your higher purpose. So that means slowing down and paying attention and listening to what your higher self may need you to be doing at this point in time.
I'm really glad you brought that up because this is not a phrase I've ever used before, but what came through for me this month is that this is a blueprint month. This is a month to really get clear for ourselves about what we value and how we want to live our lives. So again, I spoke earlier about the collective, but as you said, Simone, this is also very much about ourselves. And so asking yourself questions like, what do I really want? What do I need and what don't I need? What is truly gratifying and what is only instant gratification? I believe that this month is about really redefining who we are and how we're going to be living our lives from here on. It's a significant time for us as individuals and as a collective.
Absolutely. It's also about distinguishing fact from fiction because there are ways in which subtle ways in some cases in which we do fool ourselves into thinking that certain things are important and other things are not important, like our health. So that's another thing that I would really suggest to you is take a hard look at your health, your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health. Are you spending time with nature, with your own inner self? Are you doing things to nurture yourself? But in the second half of the month, I do want to also mention that we do have the spring equinox, which is when the sun moves into Aries. That's called the astrological new year. So that should bring a lot more clarity, more action, more of an ability to see through the haze of Pisces and get going and take some action. And then on the 23rd of March is the lunar eclipse in Aries and Libra. So there's a lot going on around relationships at that time. A lot of themes around relationship, self versus others, will be coming up around that eclipse. And a lot of it has its roots in what's going on at the eclipse 2 weeks earlier, because those two eclipses are always connected. And you always have a good way of looking at the eclipses, Anna. Why don't you tell us how you see that?
Yeah, for me, I see them as pairs, and I see them as an opening and a closing. So it's like we have that solar eclipse on the 9th, and then we enter into a passageway that intensifies all of the energy. It's like being in a pressure cooker. And each of those pairs of eclipses have a theme to it. And then when we come out the other side on the 23rd of March with the lunar eclipse, it's like the door closes and we're in a different place. We come out in a different place. And so for me, this set of eclipses, that passage is about how are we going to live? How are we going to live ourselves and how are we going to live together? One of the themes that came up for me was about lifestyle. Simone, you kind of touched on it in a way about being healthy and making healthy choices. What this comes down to for me is that when we're living an authentic life, that's when we're healthy on every level. And when we're in denial about it, that's when illness comes in. We have the anxiety and everything else because we're just not aligned with ourselves. And we're living, an untruth. And I think that you've touched on that as well, about being able to see clearly and coming out of the fog, getting out of the illusions. And so I really feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity this month to make some choices for yourself. Pay attention to what you're feeling, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what you long for, what you're really wanting in your life, and what needs to go. This is a serious time to make some serious decisions because I believe the blueprint that you lay this month, you're going to be living out of for quite a while to come. So I just want to mention, and I don't, this is not about selling stuff. I'm offering my free webinar. I extended the deadline so that we could include it with this month's download. And within that webinar, it's 40 minutes, and you will connect with your inner voice and create a vision for yourself from that inner place. I've even added an opportunity to, after you've watched the webinar, to schedule a free 15-minute conversation with me to just talk about what was in there or what your next steps are. I would love to have that conversation.
And I do highly recommend that you listen to this. She's a powerful coach and healer. This is definitely the time. It's a profound and powerful month, and we are being asked to really step up to the plate here and live our truth.
Yeah. Simone and I are both very honored that you're a part of our lives and that you give us an opportunity to do what we love, and we both are here to support you in whatever way that we can for you to be doing that as well. We really hope you have an amazing month, and we look forward to connecting with you in April.
Bye-bye.